We have to deport a lot of people to save the United States of America. Steve Deace is here. Jennifer Galardi is here. All that, so much more coming up on I'm Right. Let's talk about deportation. Let's talk about foreigners. Look, this is going to come to New York City and what's about to happen to New York City with the election of this Mamdani guy. So before we get to Mamdani in New York City specifically, I need to explain a couple things to you. First of all, how you think about government, what you want government to do and be. And none of us are exactly alike. You and I may differ on this issue or that issue, taxes or the border or abortion or something like that. But if I were to tell you that there was this candidate running for office, and this candidate aligned with you on all of your issues, no matter what your issues are, every one of them, taxes and spending and everything, they aligned with you on every single thing, would you vote for that person? Probably rolling your eyes. It's obvious, right? The answer is yes. But why? I didn't tell you what they look like. I didn't tell you what their skin color was. Didn't tell you their religion. Didn't even tell you their sex. Male, female. I didn't tell you any of that, but you just said you would vote for that person. You know why? Because you think about politics in the correct way. For you, government itself, obviously something that should be kept at bay, should be kept restrained, but government itself, it's not there to reflect your tribe, whatever that tribe may be. It's there to do the things you want done, to carry your values into Washington, D.C., and get those things done. Now, this may sound like an obvious point, but that brings me to so many peoples from all over the world and how differently they look at politics than you do. This is a central part of what we're about to talk about when it comes to what's about to happen in New York City and what's happened in many parts of the United States of America. First, many peoples around the globe, of various nations, religions, many peoples around the globe, they vote transactionally and tribally. The two T's. Remember this. You have to remember this because it's much different than most people like you vote. They vote transactionally and or tribally. Let's focus on transactionally first. They don't have this foundation, this DNA that you have about government and government should be limited and people should be free. That's not their history of where they came from. That's not what their family has always known. When you're selecting somebody to lead you politically, it's purely transactional. Yeah, what are you going to give us? What's your plan? What are you going to give us? Is it going to be money? Is it going to be food? Are you going to pave the roads? Specifically, it's not like they're against pork spending or something like that. That's what they demand. What are you going to give me transactionally? And tribally. Very foreign concept to most people in the United States of America. Certainly most people on the right. I shouldn't say most people in the country. Most people on the right, this is very foreign to us. For me, it would honestly never ever cross my mind I'm really tall, to choose the tall candidate. What do I care? It would never cross my mind to choose the bald candidate. It would never cross my mind to choose the white candidate. I'm obviously white. I would never look at the field and be like, oh, he's black and he's Mexican, he's Asian. Ooh, the white guy. It's not how I vote. Tell me how they align with me on the issues, and that's how I'll choose. But for so many peoples around the globe, so many, that's how they vote. The issues? Issues? You kidding me? I'm a Muslim. Where's the Muslim? I'm a Mexican. Where's the Mexican? I'm black. Where's the black guy? I'm from Zimbabwe. Where's the Zimbabwe guy? I'm from Somalia. Where's the Somali guy? That's how so many people vote now and have historically always voted. It brings us to New York City, our most important city, the most important city in the world, frankly. New York City is about to elect a communist. It's going to happen. This Mamdani guy. An open Islamist, an open communist. And people, even people who've never visited New York City, who don't live in New York City, you probably don't live in New York City, they're just sickened by the whole thing. How could this happen? Why would they do this? But there's something we already know. An amazing thing, a sad thing. American-born New Yorkers have completely rejected Mamdani. He is getting slaughtered in the polls by American-born New Yorkers. If you were born in the United States of America and you live in New York City, you completely reject Mamdani. No interest at all. Nope, doesn't want him to be my mayor. But foreign-born New Yorkers, those tribal peoples, they love him. He is their overwhelming favorite. And so this is the point where the right doesn't understand what we're dealing with, because this is the point where we will start to explain why Mamdani's ideas are bad. You can't give out free bus fares. This is going to happen. You can't just open Rikers Island. This is going to happen. You can't do this. This won't work. That won't work. If he does this, this will be the result. But you may as well be talking to the wall. You're talking to people who vote tribally. They don't vote the way you vote. It's transactional and it's tribal. Did you know over 1 million Muslims now live in New York City? I believe the number is 1.5 million. Why do you think Mamdani tells these 9/11 stories all the time now?
I want to use this moment to speak to the Muslims of New York City. I want to speak to the memory of my aunt. Who stopped taking the subway after September 11th because she did not feel safe in her hijab.
Okay, first of all, that's fake. And now he's already had to come out and try to explain it. He made that thing up, the whole thing. His aunt wasn't even in New York City. His aunt wasn't wearing a hijab. He just made the whole thing up. So that, of course, begs the question, why would you make up that story? That's how you get elected in New York City now. There are legions and legions of Muslims in New York City. That's how they want their mayor to think, talk, and act. The story being made up couldn't possibly matter less. That was a story where Mamdani was throwing up the signal saying, hey, I'm part of your tribe. I'm part of your tribe. Vote for me. You can scream at these foreigners till you're blue in the face about what will work, what won't work. You can scream at them all day long. They don't vote like you vote. They don't think like you think. And this is why the United States of America has got to be so much more careful with who we bring here. And now we have to be so much more aggressive with who we've brought here. Do you understand, to truly save the United States of America, it's not just going to be deporting murderers and rapists. That's an obvious first step. We are going to have to deport 50 million people. We are going to have to denaturalize people who we've allowed to become citizens and deport them as well. I'm going to play you something. You've probably seen it already. But this Mamdani scumbag who's about to be mayor of New York City, the video I'm about to play you is his father. But before we play it, I want you to understand something. He got to the United States of America in 1963. He became a communist street activist in 1965. We brought him here from some dump, and he promptly began to start destroying the United States of America. Now, that's all bad enough, but he's been allowed to do this in the open for 60 years. A foreigner we pluck out of a dump, bring here, allow him not only to reside here, he's a professor at one of our most prestigious universities, and he has chosen to tear this country down for 60 years without that much fear of being denaturalized, deported, and sent back to the dump where he came from. What kind of a country allows foreigners to come here and tear the place down for 60 years without ever sending him home? As you watch this video and the anger wells up inside of you, do please reserve a lot of that anger for the politicians who allow this crap.
America is the genesis of what we call settler colonialism. And the American model was exported all around the world. Abraham Lincoln generalized the solution of reservations. They herded American Indians into separate territories. For the Nazis, this was the inspiration. Hitler realized two things. One, that genocide was doable. It is possible to do genocide. That's what Hitler realized. Second thing Hitler realized is that you don't have to have a common citizenship. You can differentiate between people. The Nuremberg laws were patterned after American laws. Anyway, the US put Indians in reservations. The US invented the model.
60 years. It's not like he was passing notes in some underground communist cell. 60 years standing in front of classrooms, sitting up on stage, on camera, with a microphone in his hand, taking a steaming dump all over the country that brought him here. This is why New York City is no longer America. It's why Chicago, Los Angeles, so many of our formerly wonderful urban centers are no longer America. And people ask, how can we save them? Because we can't go on forever with hostile foreign city-states operating within our borders. How can we save them? We have to deport people. Lots and lots and lots of people. It's time to send a message to everybody. If we allow you to come here, you be on your best behavior, or you will go back. All that may have made you uncomfortable, but I am right. We have an incredible show for you tonight. In fact, along these lines, the Trump administration doing something that should make you feel really, really good, like Pure Talk makes you feel. Pure Talk probably makes you feel good too. Listen, Pure Talk is near to my heart because they share my values, and there simply aren't many corporations that do anymore, especially the big cell phone companies. The Verizons, the AT&Ts, and the T-Mobiles, the ones most people think they need, these companies hate you. They work against you out in the open all the time. Pure Talk out in the open works for you. Do you know what they're doing right now? When you switch your cell phone service to Pure Talk, you'll save a bunch of money, and you'll support a company that is getting rescue dogs and giving them to veterans struggling with PTSD. That's their values. Go to puretalk.com/JesseTV. We'll be back. Okay, so I want to give the Trump administration a lot of credit right now for something. Mass deportations, as we talked about so many times. We just mentioned it a couple minutes ago too, but mass deportation, deporting tens of millions of foreigners, is necessary in order to save the United States of America. We can't keep bringing people in. We can't allow so many of these disloyal scumbags to stay here. So we have to deport them. All right, I got that. You got that. But there's wanting to be able to run a marathon, and then there's actually being able to run a marathon. We don't have currently the systems in place that will allow us to deport 50 million people. We don't have it yet. We don't have the judges. We don't have enough ICE officers. The machine is not built. The machine is not built. I got that. You got that. We want to run the marathon. We're kind of fat and out of shape. So we have a lot of work to do, right? But we have to start the work now. Even if it means going for a walk tonight. Maybe we're going to go jog a mile tonight. The work does have to begin. The Trump administration, as of right now, this includes self-deportations, is at 2 million in, 10 months? 2 million. 2 million in 10 months. Now we have a story that there is a big shakeup in ICE. Remember, ICE, they're the ones that actually have to deport people. Major cities across the country, they're having their leadership tossed, and the reports are they're being replaced with more aggressive people from Border Patrol. I want to give the Trump administration all the credit in the world for this. They deserve it. If we are ever to get to 50 million, which will take years, the Trump administration can't do that. It's not humanly possible. But if we are ever to get to that number, and that's just the number I picked, it might be higher. If we are ever to get to that number, then we need the Trump administration to do exactly what they're doing. And how many times have you had a chance to say that about any politician in your life? He's doing exactly what we need him to do. And it has been a relentless media campaign, Democrat campaign against all these deportations. I don't even have to play it for you. You've heard it all. Nazi, Hitler, Gestapo. And yet, for once, Republicans are not caving. They're not backing off. The Trump administration is not apologizing. They're not promising to do things differently. They are demanding more aggression in the face of relentless communist campaigning against what they're doing. They want it more. They want it faster. They want more people gone. And they should be celebrated. If you and I, if we're going to freak out and yell and scream whenever they do something wrong, and we have, and we will again, if we're going to do that, then I think you would agree with me that we need to give credit where credit is due. The Trump administration is full steam ahead. There's not a sign they're backing off or slowing down. In fact, things like this ICE shakeup, they tell me, they want more. That's something to celebrate. Put a smile on your face, all right? All right. We're going to talk to Steve Deace in a moment. Before we talk to Steve Deace, I want to talk to you about your gut. Look, when you're 15 years old, you can eat nails and you'll be fine. I'm kidding, don't eat nails, but you understand. When you're 44, kind of have to be a little more careful. A little more careful when it's bratwurst and jalapeno night. Have you tried cowboy colostrum? Let me tell you what I do. I put it in my coffee in the morning. Everyone by now knows about the benefits of colostrum, how unbelievable it is for you. Honestly, everything looks better. Mix it in your coffee. They have chocolate, they have vanilla, they have strawberry. I use the chocolate. I put 2 scoops in my coffee in the morning. It not only is delicious, I essentially have chocolate coffee every single morning. Man, my gut works better. My whole body functions better. You want 20% off? Go to cowboycolostrum.com and use the code JesseTV. We'll be back.
Here is what we stand for, my friends. We are going to freeze the rent for more than 2 million rent-stabilized tenants and use every resource at our disposal to build housing for everyone who needs it. We are going to eliminate the fare on every single bus line.
They're not booing. They're cheering. Joining me now, my friend, even though he's extremely dressed down today, host of the Steve Deace Show, Steve Deace. Steve, the truth is, you import a bunch of foreign leeches, you can get up and give speeches and tell them how much crap you're going to give them, and it gets you elected. This is what they want. You can tell them until they're blue in the face, it's not going to work. They don't care.
Brother, there's some devil's arithmetic in all of this we should lay out for your audience. Number one, the average voter turnout, I know you are rightly railing against Republican primary voters on a consistent basis as the root of all American evil, essentially, for our complacency, and you're right. Well, the average turnout in New York City mayoral elections in the 21st century is 25%. And it is estimated about 25% of the city of New York is currently non-English speaking. That can't possibly be a coincidence. These are almost like providential forces. Secondly, if you look at his 2 predecessors, there's some talk on our side about how this is some kind of outlier, and he's not an insurgent. He's a fulfillment. The city already tried godless Republican corporatism where corporations are God. It tried that under Michael Bloomberg. It then tried godless Sandinistaism under de Blasio, a literal Sandinista, not a euphemism, not an exaggeration, not a metaphor. He literally worked out of the offices of the Sandinistas in the city of New York as a younger man. So it tried two forms of godlessness. It only makes sense now that it will try another form of godlessness, provided that it is shrouded around the false god that Mamdani represents. This is A plus B equals C stuff culturally. And in many respects, New York City, post-Rudy, tried the two wings of the unibrow. It tried them both, didn't like the answers it was getting. And so, eventually something has to rule and something has to be worshipped, Jesse. And so the false god that Mamdani represents, he's going to be worshipped and ruled in New York City now.
Steve, can you make this connection for me? Because this is right up your alley. Because I think about this stuff a lot. Nobody, not a single person on earth, of any religion, of any race, of anywhere, nobody wants to live in a dirty place. Nobody wants to live in a crime-filled place. These are just universal human things. I want things to be clean. I want to feel safe. I want my wife, my kids. These are universal human things. Yet people, over and over and over again, New York City most definitely, they vote for dirt and crime.
Yes.
Help me understand.
Because ultimately, desire isn't worldview, or isn't destiny. Worldview is destiny. And ultimately, yes, human beings want those things, Jesse, but not at the expense of not having their worldview affirmed. And if their worldview gets in the way of those needs and instincts being fulfilled, they will just lie and incorporate them into their worldview as if that is happening. So, for example, hey, I'm on my third generation. I'm black in an inner city like Chicago. We're on our third generation of dysfunction. And a Republican hasn't won a mayoral seat here literally since Columbus and his 3 ships landed in the New World, right? So clearly it must be the Republicans who hate me and are a bunch of racists who are the reason why I've done all the policies of all the people I have voted for, and yet I continue to get exactly what I say I don't want, and that I vote for more of it again. Because to admit otherwise, human beings as a species, brother, outside of the God of the Bible, we are not really good at humility. Nobody really gets up in the morning and says, I can't wait to admit when I'm wrong. We're not good at that. And so if my narrative of my worldview, all right, my religious conviction, and we all have one, we all have the God-shaped hole in our heart, as Blaise Pascal once said. If that is being questioned, even if it means there are people who buried their loved ones out of the rubble of 9/11 not 25 years ago, Jess, and they're going to go vote for Mamdani on Tuesday and then say people like us are racist and Nazis for asking, why would you do this? Because my worldview must be affirmed. My religion must be confirmed. Even if it doesn't line up with the facts on the ground, I will make the facts on the ground change in order to line up with my worldview, because otherwise I would be forced to admit my worldview is a scam.
Steve, then how do we save our cities? Because I've said it over and over and over again. We don't really have, these are not America anymore. They're hostile foreign city-states that reside within our borders. And
Correct.
While you and I can move out, people who find an opportunity can move out and get away from it, it's still not good for the country we both love to have hostile foreign city-states inside of our borders. Can they be saved?
Yes, but the first thing we have to do is make sure, and you know this better than me, you're a soldier. I'm not. We have to have a secure home front first, brother. All right, we need to make sure our red states are every bit as red as the blue states are blue. All right, Alabama's got to, Alabama, Mississippi, Texas, Tennessee, Arkansas, Georgia, South Carolina have to be every bit as red as Oregon, Maryland, California, Washington State. Vermont, Delaware are blue. We have to have a home front first. Because you're right, these are foreign countries, which means you're really talking about liberating them. That a form of invasion. And we're not talking militarily here, but culturally, what you're describing is we have to invade them. But we need to make sure our own home front is secure before we do that. Otherwise, we get spread too thin, and we've just launched a 2-front war. We can't win either way, and we're caught in a no man's land. So step number 1 is we have to secure the homeland first. Our red states have to be as red as the blue states are blue. That's a non-negotiable. Attempting to do anything for these cities without accomplishing that is just literally wasting of resources and time and talent and treasure we don't have. They must be as red as the blue states are blue. But then after that occurs, what you're really talking about is a form of cultural invasion. And there's no way to successfully accomplish that. And in some respects, you'd even describe it as missionary work. You're going to need mass spiritual awakening and revival. You're going to need, whether the existing churches in these blue cities are not capable of it, then missionaries are going to have to go in there, as if these massive, churches like Tim Keller's aren't really there, and begin just literally preaching the gospel to people, which is the always step one into understanding that you can be a free person, is that you can be freed of your own sin. I mean, that's why we had great awakenings and then had a revolution. You can't have rights that come from God if people are disconnected from God. And that's what's really happening in these blue cities, Jess. They become godless.
Steve, let's talk about deportations. Obviously, I'm happy they're happening, but we're about 50 million away from actually getting ourselves right. Does
Right.
the GOP have the stomach to continue and build? I understand, and I already gave them credit for it, the Trump administration's not only doing it, they're building the machine to make it accelerate and do it harder and faster. That's good. Do we have the will to continue this for another 10, 20 years? Because that's what it's going to take.
I think in our age group and younger, the answer is yes. And I think the question then becomes, how soon can that generational group assume positions of leadership within the hierarchy of the party? And I think what you're seeing right now with the government shutdown is you're watching one of the great shibboleths of our era, the McConnell mythology that Republicans, going back to the Tea Party era, remember how frustrated we all were that Boehner just negotiated against himself and never pushed any of his leverage because we couldn't ask a government shutdown, we always lose. Well, you're watching that heterodoxy. Trump is smashing that shibboleth right now. Republicans have held together on this longer than probably you or I thought was possible. Their messaging on it has actually been fairly decent. So Trump to me is just stage one of a generational counteroffensive here. Stage one, we have to blow up these media narratives that have been the shibboleth of the dam, the fig leaf of these Republicans for their excuses for a generation of being simps and subservience to the spirit of the age. Probably the greatest accomplishment of Trump's era is going to be that he violated all these media norms and was politically successful nevertheless. And what you're hoping then is the generation that comes after him, whether it's a Vance, whether it's a DeSantis, more names, that they then are now able to deepen the theology of that disruption and point out that there's actually now a counter way of life that we need to pursue. That it's not just enough to disrupt the systems that destroyed us. We now have to implement an entirely new system and framework, which means we get to decide as a country who's a citizen here and who's not, who gets access to our social safety net and who does not, who gets to be educated and who does not, and who gets to even have a single appendage on the soil known as the United States of America and who does not. All right, that the United States of America is a nation. All right, it's a nation made up of its people. And here the people rule. And that's going to probably come in the era to come, provided we can be politically successful enough in this era to pass the baton on to such people.
Steve, final one from me here. The government shutdown. It feels to me like Democrats have the tiger by the ears here. If Republicans won't negotiate, and to your point, I thought they would cave. I even said they would cave. They haven't. If they won't negotiate, Democrats can't cave for their base, but it's not looking good for them in the polls. How do they let go of this tiger?
So, there's a movie line we quote on my show all the time, Jesse, from The Hunt for Red October. The hardest part of playing chicken is knowing when to flinch. Okay. And so right now we're heading into November 1, and a different layer of people are going to be impacted by this shutdown than have been for the previous few weeks. And so what Democrats are banking on is that new layer of people who are going to be injured by this will turn the numbers and the data around and the heat on Republicans around, and they'll cave. And so the next couple of weeks, if this goes on, that's what the real pressure point comes upon Republicans. If they withstand that, then all that pressure and heat goes on the Democrats, because the longer this goes on, the more used to only having government in Washington operate at about 65% of what it normally does, people that kind of get used to. And so that's what's occurring right now is, can the Democrats create enough people in the short term that find themselves injurious enough that they might otherwise vote Democrat when they were going to vote Republican, and that will get your squishy Republicans to cave. So far, they've not been able to do that. And then the longer this goes on, you're right, and your analogy is right on the money, the more this pressure shifts to the Democrats because many of their conventional wisdoms are being dispelled. And frankly, you get to a point where the only people who really care if this thing really reopens, provided we're funding the military, where a lot of our voters are, provided that the only people otherwise who care were never voting for us in the first place. And that's kind of what's being sifted out right now.
Steve, thank you, brother.
You got it, man. Thank you.
Let's talk about Gavin Newsom next. There's this exhausting thing in politics. If you've been in politics or paid attention to it for longer than 15 minutes, you know this to be true. This is not going to be news to you. Where all these people who run for office, most definitely who run for president, they all have to pretend like they're not power-hungry animals. They all have to pretend like they're these reluctant civil servants who might run. They haven't really given a lot of thought, but I guess all the people they just really want. Gavin Newsom's doing this thing. I saw this headline from CBS, New York Times, and others that Gavin Newsom is considering a 2028 run for president. Do we have to do this thing all the time? Joining me now, Jennifer Galardi, Senior Policy Analyst at the Heritage Foundation. Hey, Jen, he's considering it. He hasn't made the decision yet.
Of course he hasn't. He's been considering it for the past 4, 6, 8 years. I mean, this was always his goal.
Jen, you are, I believe, a former resident of California, possibly current, but I know you were a former resident of California. How's it been under Gavin Newsom?
Well, it was terrible. I'm just thanking the Lord that I made it out when I did, probably the end of 2023, because it's just gotten worse. The Palisades fire destroyed the town that I once lived in and loved, Topanga fires. The homelessness got worse. It wasn't always like this. I moved to California in 1998, and it wasn't as bad as it is now. It's just untenable, unsustainable. The cost of living, from what I understand, they are erecting low-cost housing in the Palisades now, kind of socialist-type homes. Yeah. So, we'll see what happens, but anybody who wants to export California to the rest of the country, I think, is in for a surprise. I don't think the rest of the country will buy it, but he's Slick Willie. I mean, the hair, he's got the whole shtick. He's been working that for years now, so we'll see what happens. I mean, if they're going to vote Zohran Mamdani, I can't imagine why they wouldn't go for this guy either, but we'll see.
Yeah, speaking of the whole shtick, there's this hilarious thing, and I realize politicians on all sides tend to pander from time to time. It's what they do. But watching Democrats do it, especially with black people, is one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my entire life. Gavin Newsom went on an NBA podcast and started talking about Wonder Bread.
But also, it was also about paying the bills, man. And it was just like hustling. And so I was out there kind of raising myself, turning on the TV, started, just getting obsessed, sitting there with the Wonder Bread and 5 stacks of,
like the White Stack Farm story.
Come on. Kraft macaroni and cheese. That's how I grew up, bro.
Are you talking about me?
Young YG.
YG,
But
man. I do it.
every day in the backyard, just bouncing the basketball, throwing the ball against the wall until the ball is just like framed, man.
Oh my gosh.
Jen, they do it because it works.
Well, that's the question. I don't know which is worse, his shtick or the fact that the hosts buy it. They are the black community buying this. I mean, thank goodness for the internet. I don't know if you saw those pictures around that are coming out of him like back in the 80s when he was a youngster. And all I could think of is that character. Do you remember from one of my favorite John Hughes movies, Pretty in Pink, the rich socialite Blaine? His name was Blaine. And at least Blaine had the self-awareness to know he hung around with a-holes. Like, Blaine was somewhat self-aware that his friends were jerks. And Newsom doesn't seem to get it. He thinks he can pull this off, and that's what shocks me is they fall for it. I don't know if they think it's good entertainment, or he was from like Getty money. His father managed Getty money oil, like Getty oil money. It's and he's got the popped collar, and like I think he was voted like the most slick dressed, or I don't know what it was in his high school. I'm like, yeah, you grew up in the ghetto, of course.
Jen, let's just talk about human nature, shall we? They do this because people want to be pandered to, right? Even if they know it's not honest all the way. If you work construction, you want to see your politician in a hard hat. If you hunt, you want to see him working a shotgun out there somewhere. On some level, people like to be pandered to, don't they?
I don't think so. I don't know. Like it's one thing to kind of put the hard hat on in the construction area. It's another thing to take on a completely false persona with a false accent, pretending you're Jamaican one day and a black person the next. Like Yaman, when Kamala did the Yaman and he said, yeah, I can't even remember what Newsom just said. He was like, it was Wonder Bread. I was struggling. I was, hustling. The word hustling would never come out of my mouth.
Hustling.
Like as a white woman, it just never would be like I was hustling. I don't hustle. I work hard. I don't know. So it is. I don't think people like to be pandered to. So I don't know what they think they're getting with these candidates. It just reeks of inauthenticity. I mean, I just don't see this on the right as much. You have people with their quirks and their personalities, but like Senator Kennedy from Louisiana, what you're like, he is hilarious because he's him all the time, every single time. He's funny and he's authentic. Now, you may not like it, you may not like what he has to say, but he's always who he is. Trump is always who he is. You know what you're getting. It's just the left that seems to have this weird tendency to try to pretend who their voters are. I think it is, we've talked about this before, because they have no principles. They don't stand on principles. They just have to shift wherever the wind goes to get votes.
Speaking of shifting whichever way the wind blows, whatever's necessary. Here's Kamala Harris.
When are they going to see a woman in charge in the White House?
In their lifetime, for sure.
Could it be you?
Possibly.
Have you made a decision yet?
No, I have not.
But you say in your book, I'm not done.
That is correct. I am not done.
But when you look at the bookies' odds, they put you as an outsider, even behind Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I mean, is that underestimating you?
I think there are all kinds of polls that will tell you a variety of things. I've never listened to polls. If I listened to polls, I would have not run for my first office or my second office. And I certainly wouldn't be sitting here in this interview.
She's running again. The question is when.
I don't know. I mean, I am shocked if she runs again. I will be shocked. I mean, she got such a spanking the last time, and it really was a case of kind of the what do we call it, when it's like two really bad candidates. People saw Trump as bad, they saw her as bad, the least of the worst, right? The least worst of the two. But we're going to have strong candidates on the right. We're going to have JD Vance. We're going to have Marco Rubio. We're going to have we got a strong, solid, deep bench. And they got her and Gavin Newsom. I don't know when she announces. I mean, I would think she would have to do it sooner than later, because her big excuse last time was we didn't have enough time, right? Just give us more time. Well, you've got all the time in the world now, and let's see how you do. It's just, I mean, please, for the entertainment value, for people like you and me that get to kind of laugh about something, it'll provide endless fodder, but so I hope she does it sooner than later.
Yeah, she's been spanked before. Let's talk about New York City. Mamdani's about to be elected mayor in New York City, and it breaks my heart, Jen, because I love the place. But the truth is, when you import tens of millions of foreigners, they're going to vote the way they vote, and American-born New Yorkers are not voting for them. We know that now. This is what happens when you open up your borders.
Yeah, and I guess it's this message of socialism, Marxism. I don't think it's just foreigners. That's definitely part of it, because they get promised free stuff, and that's what socialism is. It sounds really nice, But we all know in America that there's no such thing as a free lunch. And if it sounds too good to be true, it is. But I also think he appeals to younger Americans, particularly in urban areas, who have become very disillusioned, who can't afford homes, who don't want to get married and have children. At least that's one of their excuses. And so the other side of the coin is, how do we inoculate young Americans against the propaganda that people like Zohran Mamdani sells, that socialism is good? You can call it democratic socialism, you can call it big government socialism. No matter how much lipstick you put on a pig, it's still a pig. And it all sounds so good. Free bus rides, rent control, free childcare. But you'll never achieve anything beyond what the government allows you to do. You are a serf to the government. Everybody who knows history knows this. So how do we make it so that these young people aren't so disillusioned about life, and that makes them susceptible to this kind of propaganda? How do we teach them about the satisfaction and fulfillment that comes from struggle and sacrifice and overcoming obstacles? How do we fortify them with resilience and self-reliance and the notions of the good and the true and the beautiful? I have my own ideas. I think getting them into church is a good idea. Looking upward, give our youth something to aspire to strive for, and not indoctrinate them in theories of the lowest common denominator, which is what programs such as DEI and race-based equity do. So, I think we really need to do a better job of teaching this next generation what it means to be free and what it looks like under a socialist society. It never ends well. We know that. You particularly know that.
Jen, before I let you go, I want to talk about this piece you did for The Blaze. Time for RFK Jr. to expose the dark truth about the pill. What pill are we talking about here? What's the dark truth?
We are talking about the birth control pill that nobody seems to want to touch. It's a sacred cow in our society because it's given women, quote unquote, sexual freedom and the ability to choose whether they want a family or not, without looking at the very serious potential side effects. Every drug has them. We've just kind of buried these under the rug. And patients, women, are not being told from their doctors what these are and what birth control is. It is medicated menopause. I would love a 20-year-old to go into their doctor's office and have the doctor say, we're actually going to put you into menopause. Does that sound good to you? So we're lacking informed consent. We're lacking in the transparency of the side effects of the birth control pill, especially long-term, potential of decreased fertility once you come off it, weight gain. It actually changes it can change the whole cultural dynamic. There's a great book on it, but it changes the way men are attracted to women because women aren't menstruating essentially. So it's just, these things need to be examined. We're not saying end the birth control pill. We're saying just to be transparent about it, and let's have the research that's been done in Europe that shows some of these things.
Jen, come back soon. Appreciate you. Now, before we go to lighten the mood, I want to remind you we have elections coming up next week. Early voting is already underway. 2028 is a long way away. Have you been to your Secretary of State's website? Do you have elections coming up? I bet you do. I have local ones coming up next week. Check. All right? Lighten the mood next. All right, it's time to lighten the mood. I was on Megyn Kelly's live tour last week, and to say I was wonderful would be putting it mildly.
Please tell us who Big Chungus is.
Okay. All right, so I'm sure you saw the video. Everybody here has probably seen the video of the stupid No Kings protests, and everyone saw that gigantic monster of a woman making fun of Charlie Kirk's assassination, doing the this and that and this and that thing, just sticking her fingers in her fat rolls and being terrible about the whole thing. They are fighting a communist revolution. It's not an accident they're doing it. It's not an accident they're going after kids. They decided long ago they couldn't use the workers because American workers were by and large happy and prosperous, so they had to find a different group of malcontents. And now it's every feminist in a Subaru. Their souls are broken, they're angry, they're bitter. That radiates from them and they spread it everywhere and it feels ugly. So
O'Donnell,
Yeah. So even ones that are kind of hot, like AOC, you get around her and you think, oh, that's gross. I would rather not. We woke up one day and wait, they're taking Aunt Jemima off the pancakes, and there are more lesbians in the kids' movies than the WNBA game. We have to think beyond that and realize we are dealing with an enemy, and that sucks that you have to deal with an enemy. I wish you didn't have to. I wish I didn't have to. I don't want to have enemies here. That's not who I am. I don't want to. I want to eat Red Lobster. That's what I want to do. I want to enjoy, and I want to eat Red Lobster. But that's not the life we've been given. We have enemies here. We have to acknowledge their enemies and act as if they're enemies.
Isn't he so great? Can I tell you, like, the show is doing really well. The Megyn Kelly show is doing really well. It's because of guys like that. Honestly, we have just the best guests. And while I'd love to say it's all me, it's not all me. It's because I get like guys like that to talk to me, and they're so interesting, right? Isn't your life just better for knowing Jesse Kelly? It just is.
I agree. I'll see you tomorrow. I know you enjoyed that video because it was me. If you'd like to see more videos like that, just subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/@JesseKellyDC. We'll keep giving it to you.